Spectrum of Us podcast.
Chaos and comedy, where we explore life on the spectrum.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jennifer.
In each episode, we dive deep into life surrounding neurodivergence, exploring the complex and often comical dynamics between society, family, education, and more.
Through building understanding, we hope to build a community. So like and subscribe for more chaos and comedy as we explore life behind the scenes of neurodiversity.
Welcome to the Spectrum of Us. I almost said the Chaos of Us.
I thought you were going to say the Kevin Show.
The Kevin Show. Welcome to the Spectrum of Us. All right, so
getting rummy.
This is that time of year.
Back to school.
When you say back to school, most people call it the end of their summer containment.
Or their summer sentence.
Or the summer sentence.
Because, okay, there's the parent. The parents fall into groups.
Mm-hmm.
There's the camp of like, oh my God, it's summer. My kids are going to be home. What am I going to do with them all summer? And so right now they're like, my kids are going back to school.
Look, they were rushing off, getting all them papers and pencils.
Yeah.
And new
They're like, oh, it's back to school shopping. Let's go. Bye-bye. I'll miss you. No, I won't. And then there's the other camp, which waits all year for their kids to be home, and they miss them. And then they're like, we're going to do all the family vacations and all the things and every blah, blah, blah. And the kids are like, please put me back to school. So the kids are like, it's time to go back to school. And the parents are like, oh, my babies are going back to school. It'd be so lonely again. So they're firmly in two camps.
Two camps.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that neurodivergent camp.
Well, they're still in those camps. I ain't gonna lie. That is one place we actually identify with neurotypical parents. Is we're in one of your camps too. I've actually been in both camps. It's been very weird.
We'll talk about that.
Well, I mean, I was just telling Carla there that like 3 years old is just the freaking cutest age ever. I don't care if they're neurodivergent or not. Like, it's like they're just so stinking cute. They're the best. They're terrible, but they're amazing. They really are. Like, terrible 2s is not 2s, it's 3s. But they're so cute. They're just adorable. They're the best. And then they get to 4 and it gets better. And you're just thinking, I don't want this to end. This is the best. And then there's some weird thing that happens right before kindergarten, within the 6-month period right before kindergarten, just when you're kind of starting to like panic a little bit because you're like, how am I going to ever drop them off at school? And then they get possessed. Something happens. And by the time it's time to take them back to school or take them to school for the first time, you're like, where do I sign them up? And how long will you have them? Oh, that's all. Are you sure there's not after school? So and I think that it's just like, it's the natural evolution process of making sure that y'all are ready to let go of each other a little bit, because otherwise you could never send them anywhere. I mean, they're just too dang cute. So, I've been there. And so I remember thinking there's no way. And then I was, also, standing at the door, open. Is it time yet? And then, it's funny for a neurodivergent parent, it was very confusing for me because, parents were either firmly in one camp or the other, and they got to live in that camp. I think that's where we differ. They got to live in that camp pretty much forever, because it's kind of more about like how you are as a parent, not how your kids are when you're not neurodivergent. It's more or less like, are you the kind of parent who just really misses your kids when they're gone? Or are you the kind of parent who is like, oh God, what am I supposed to do with you when you're here?
Yeah.
So it really doesn't have anything to do with the kids. It has more to do with, just you and your personality. And no judgment either way.
Right.
But as a neurodivergent parent, I felt shafted, because when I was in the like, oh my God, I can't wait for them to go back to school. Right. I'm thinking that's going to be relief.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I get a break. And then it's like I get them into school, but then I only get a brief relief, if I get a relief, because depending on the kid, depending on their situation, it was either immediately a problem where I'm like, well, I thought summer was hard, but this is going to be harder. Great. I can't get them to go to school. Now we've got a new problem. It's a battle to get to school. It's a battle for this. It's a battle for that. It's a battle to do. Everything's a fucking battle. So then you're just thinking, is this even worth it? I don't know. I thought this was going to be relief, but it's really not. This is harder than when I just had them at home. Or it was a relief at first. Everything was great. Oh my God. This is going to be the year. This is going to be the year where I get to live in that. I get to live in your world where
Right.
they're going to go to school. I'm going to get a reliable, 6 hours a day where they are occupied doing something constructive in a school environment. I feel good about myself as a parent, and I feel like you're doing something and I can do something reliably every day. And just as I started to get comfortable with that, shit hits the fan. And
I witnessed
the
that.
carpet gets pulled out from underneath me, and just kidding.
I witnessed that. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you don't get to live in that world like neurotypical parents get to live in that world, whichever one. You're just like at the mercy of whatever the year looks like for your kid. And you start to have like PTSD because even if it's good, you're wondering when it's not going to be good. If it's not good, you're wondering what needs to happen to make it better. But it's all like there's never a relaxing. There's never a I can exhale. There's not that ever.
Well, would you say that, and especially in the beginning, we thought things were like, okay, we found the soft spot.
The thing.
We found the sweet spot. This is where it's going to be good. And you look forward to it.
It's a lie. I'm so jaded now.
Well,
I have to be careful with like new parents and other parents when they're like, having just typical experiences, and they're just like, oh, I'm so glad I dropped my kids off at school. Not to be like cynical.
Yeah.
Because like their experience isn't mine. They're not gonna. But like my initial reaction is cynicism. Like good luck with that. But then I'm like, Jennifer.
No, I will. No, I will.
They're not going to have that problem.
I got excited. Each beginning, because I was like, okay, this is this is a new experience to be around a child that didn't love school because, like,
your kids love going to school.
All my kids loved it. Was their most favorite. They loved it.
What's that like?
For me,
you took it for granted, didn't you? You just thought that's the way it was.
No, I did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I was just sitting here looking at you, going, "What is that like?" And I'm thinking, he don't know what that's like because he just got up every day, and that's what it was.
That's what it was because it's what I did. It was the relationships. It was because of my personal experience. Because of some of my childhood, not all of it, was negative and not pleasant. That school became sanctuary. So it made me love going to school, and my memories were my fond memories were of school and not. So
I'm
home.
just gonna stop you right there, just so that there's no like misconceptions. That even that's not a typical experience. To be honest, like you would think that sounds pretty like, oh yeah, I can see if a kid is coming from a rough home or a rough upbringing, that then going to school is like consistent and sanctuary, and that's a happy place to go. But actually, it can also not be that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree because.
So I'm glad that you had that.
My kids fell into that, and I thought they loved my older daughters. They loved school.
Yeah.
Even my younger children, they didn't have the fondness that my older kids had. But when you and I got together and witnessing that and being part of Jack's experience, it has let me know that it was
I'm so tired.
That I was I took that lifestyle for granted.
Yeah. So today, after 6 years of this life,
Mm-hmm.
how grateful would you be just after 6 years if tomorrow Jack woke up and he just went to school every day?
You know, I'm at the I measure success and happiness differently
Mm.
than I did 6 years ago.
You're welcome. I don't know if that's it.
I look at.
You're welcome. We have beat you down so badly that now you measure success and happiness differently.
I do. I measure it differently. So my first, like, I wouldn't get excited. Like, oh, I would be like,
yeah.
like, what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my first thought was we need to investigate.
You'd be like, yeah, we'll see.
Let's investigate why he wants to. You know, I'm looking for something. And all
the angle.
And for the angle. And then it would be, I would initially spend the first 60 to 90 days, if it went that long.
No, let's just pretend like forever he's going to go to school.
Yeah, okay. Well,
pretend.
Okay, let's pretend. The first 60 to 90 days, I would be basically metaphysically putting like pillows because there's going to be a landing.
Right, waiting for the other shoe to drop?
Yeah, there's going to be a crash landing here soon.
Preparing for the crash.
So I need to make sure that he's comfortable and that he lands on something soft because it's going to be a crash landing. I wouldn't buy into he's going to be in the atmosphere. I would no, it's going to be a crash landing.
So you think that period, about 60 to 90 days for you? 2-3 months?
2 or 3 months, I'd be like, before I had to go, all right, maybe this is a real thing. Let me see what happens. I would be over the moon for him. And this is the reason why. It's because he is a good masker. He goes when
excellent.
When we transition into this school and he gets back into his routine and it's so different from everybody else's. And I know that at first he goes, hey, I don't care. Right? He masked that. I don't care, whatever. But not having that, I can see bothers him. He doesn't have the ability to like fix it or to change it because it's just not his thing. He can't, this is not where he's going to be successful. And that environment is not successful for him.
He's given up. He's given up hoping that this time it'll be different.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're pretending.
Yeah, we're pretending.
So it's gonna be great. He's gonna be there forever. When do you settle in? When do you think you would finally be like, wow?
Honestly, I don't think I ever would. Because I've now, and this is for my older children, if I was the same parent I was 36 years ago, then I am.
That makes you sound very old.
Yeah, well, I am.
You're looking good for old.
My oldest daughter's 36. So if I was the same parent, that'd be a problem. That means I haven't learned anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, I would be over the moon for him. And because I would see that, you know, he found a groove. And then my goal as a parent is to do what I can to give him a chance, whatever that chance is. I don't even know what it is, but I know that when we have these environments that he can learn in, and we find them, I get so geeked about it, right? When we find this is it, I see him learning that this particular thing. I give it a little pushback because I know if I get too overly geeked, he's going to run from it.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so I don't get him. I'm not too squirrely. I just go, oh yes, he's learning.
That's pretty cool.
He's learning, pretty cool. And I take my success from those moments because I recognize that he's going to be successful in this world It's just that his path is going to be different from his
Yeah.
peers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't worry anymore about whether or not my kids will be successful regardless of what type of school they go to.
Yeah.
Not anymore. And that one was a new hard one for you
Yeah, it was.
because, the homeschooling, unschooling type of situation was scaring you. Like, what does this mean for him? How come, because for you, it's like it needs to be, something that's concrete, that has structure, that has an expectation, so that you understand what he's going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's just become so flexible.
Well, I'm going to be honest and vulnerable right now and say that it was me being selfish. Because if I look at the core of it, the reason why it was so foreign to me and the reason why I gave so much pushback is because I didn't know how to help. In those others, in a regular neurotypical situation when the kids go to school, I know what my place is. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know what's expected of me and go from there. In the case of Jack, it's very fluid.
Yep. And
what he needs today, he's not going to need tomorrow.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm still learning, but you have.
You want to know the name for it? There's actually a name for it.
Go for it. Tell me the name.
Child-led learning.
Child-led learning. And that's a thing.
It is. Yes. Actually.
Will I find it in an encyclopedia?
No, but it is a educational and child rearing type of philosophy when it comes to the educational world. Reggio Emilia kind of like came up with it in preschool. So, you have Montessori, different kinds, but it's child-led learning. So basically all it is just picture you're following a kid through their life, through their day, and you are watching for signs of what they get interested in, and then you take what they get interested in and turn it into a lesson, so of whatever, right? So for example, kiddo, if they're little, like in the preschool type of environment, they start naturally sorting their Cheerios. You give them Cheerios to eat for a snack or whatever. And then they start, playing with the Cheerios or whatever. And then you're like, oh, look, and you start like making letters with the Cheerios, because they were sorting them. They were already interested in like, how can I make these work? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, look at this. I can make this word red or whatever, right? Or like, do you know what letter this is? This is an A. And then they're like entranced with the Cheerios. And what is, and we just did some letters. We did ABC or we did 1, 2, 3 or whatever. We didn't sit them in front of a little chalkboard and make them write 1, 2, 3. They were using manipulatives and they were doing it. And guess what? Both kids learned ABC. So, but as a educator, you have to be able to follow their natural like interests and turn those in the moment into, okay, what does this kid need to learn? Right? Where are our gaps? Where, whatever. So, that's how we learn how to read through that. That's how we learn how to write, spell, math, taking the Cheerios 1 + 1. Oh, how many is this? Or they're out and they're like playing with bugs and they just look like they're playing, right? And then, somehow you move that into a whole science lesson, get them to start making a, collection of bugs. And then next thing you know, they find a caterpillar. And then, you go into the whole life cycle of bugs and things. But it wasn't hey kids, here's some caterpillars and you're going to learn about life cycle right now. Right? So some kids like to learn that way in school traditionally, but kids like him, you got to follow them around.
And I think that what I've learned in these last 6 years is that word traditionally, that it can fool you. Mm-hmm. Because traditionally,
Traditionally when?
When?
Right? Because let's not forget that the way we educate right now is actually a very modern phenomenon. It's only been around for about 100, 150 years. It's not the way that we learned before. And I think this is a big thing that gets lost. Big thing that gets lost because everybody just thinks like that public education is the way that education has always been, right? They don't actually take a minute to think about how, no, that's not how it's actually been. Actually, the way public education came to be was because everybody was homeschooled.
Yes.
Everybody was farm schooled.
Farm schooled. You learn.
That's where you learned.
You learn whatever trade, whatever you got immersed in what your family did.
Right. And a lot of that was farming, right? But if people also don't understand what farmers were like. Like, I remember being a kid and being floored when I found out because I knew my dad was raised on a farm, big farm, dairy farm. So it wasn't just a small little hobby farm. It was a large working dairy farm. So in my mind as a kid, I was like, oh, that's what they did. No. And the parents went to work. So it was the farm and they went to work. So dad, grandpa drove a dairy truck, a milk truck, plus he had his dairy farm. Mom was a bookkeeper, plus she helped run the farm. So people don't realize that farmers, that isn't usually just all they do. Like they actually, so if you're a farmer, you might also be a blacksmith.
Yes.
If you're a farmer, you might also.
Well, you would have to be.
Yeah.
Because you want, if you're doing it yourself, you're not paying someone else to do it because you didn't have that kind of money back then to do that. So you had to do it.
You're a farrier. So not only do you do the ferrying for your own horses, but you also go around and and other people pay you to be the farrier.
Yeah.
And this is how they bartered and traded, things. So services and supplies and things like that so that they all could work, right? And so the kids were learning as they were coming up those different trades, and they were learning their math and their reading and their science and their English by living on a farm and working the farm. What better way to learn the life cycle and your goats having babies or whatever, seeing the different, ways that they have to work with the animals in order to raise the animals for the, purposes they're raising them for, whether it's, shearing sheep or having babies or making meat or whatever it is. You learn chemistry when you milk a cow, because it's not just like the milk that comes out the cow is the milk that we drink from the grocery store.
Right.
There's a whole process to it. So they learn all these things. And back in the day, it was, learning how to read, somebody at home was teaching them how to read and math and what have you. But then after that, it was really about getting out there and working. And so they were learning how to do some of this book stuff when they were younger. And then reading was their pastime. That's how they imagined and entertained themselves and stuff like that. And so it was also very common for mothers to die in childbirth. It was very common, or it was common-ish for, infertile couples to not have children. And so we designed the one-room schoolhouse for those kids who didn't have a parent to do the other side of the teaching at home. And so what do I do with these kids when they're young? They can't help on the farm. They're just, they're not strong enough. They're not big enough. They don't know enough. Right. But, so that kind of, preschool now, kindergarten to, 10 years old, about 5th grade, maybe 13, which is why, if people remember back, a lot of those people only had 5th to 8th grade education.
Yeah.
They'd be in school for that, but now it's time for you to work on the farm. Because now you are big enough. Now you are strong enough. Now you are, get out here and help, and then put all that stuff to practice. But that's where the one-room schoolhouse came from. So it was mostly for the families that couldn't provide that within their own home. Somehow we have now reversed it, where, that's the expectation, is everybody goes to school by someone else instead of their families taking that responsibility. And then we formed a whole industrial revolution around it, because then everybody went to work.
Yeah.
And so now it's, not the world is not made in such a manner that everybody's responsible for their own kids' education, and it's only a few who, can't provide that.
Yeah.
Now it's the opposite. Now it's the world is responsible for your kids' education, and it's a few who can do it themselves.
Yeah. Well, in this, when you also look at those times and when we were at our most creative, because we were able to immerse ourselves in the different fields.
Right. Because it wasn't like,
distracted.
today we have to learn 50 minutes of each subject.
Exactly. By the time you get
if you were like really into shearing the sheep and how that made into blankets and, crazy stuff like that, guess what? You were probably the one shearing the sheep and doing all of that and hyper focusing all over it.
Yeah.
If you were really into, having the animals having the babies, you probably ended up being a vet, because you just kept being concerned with and cared for the animals. And so we had a lot more autonomy when it came to our direction in life and what we wanted to be focused on and immersed in. And it wasn't this uber controlled, definition of how you get educated.
Yeah. There are people who believe, and I'm not ready to say I'm one of them all the way, but there are people who believe that school is simply put in place to teach our young people how to be good factory workers.
No.
How? Because the way it's set up, they start at 7 because got to get up. School starts at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning because they want you to be able to get up early to go to work. You're gonna have your lunch.
They're doing a shitty job at it though, because factory workers, they don't get summers and every break and every holiday off.
No, they don't. But it's
you do better. They should tweak that.
Well, but how? Because you start off in elementary school, you have one teacher. When you're in first grade, you have one teacher for the whole day. Second grade, all the way up to what? Fourth, I think.
Fifth grade. Usually fifth grade, they switch you between the 3 fifth grade teachers.
Now you got 3. Then when you go 6th, 7th, middle school, that they start breaking down by hour. So you're going to take a kid, and then if you sprinkle a little bit of neurodivergent on it, right? You're going to get a kid who's on the spectrum, right? Or just anything. And you're going to give them an hour to focus on something. And then the next hour, you got to do something else. Change it up. Then you're going to go through the day. You only get an hour.
Because honestly, it's just different problems depending on what your situation is. Like if you get hyper focused on one thing and get really deep into it, then it's hard for you to switch to the next thing because all you're doing is still thinking about the last thing, and now you're just aggravated. And if you are like ADHD like me or my kids, then it's like excuse you, I'm so wingy at this point, like ding 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 ding. I can't pay attention for an hour, for a day, for a whatever. Like I got bored 5 minutes in. I already understood the lesson because I'm highly intelligent. 3 minutes in, 5 minutes in, I was over it, and 10 minutes in, everybody else's questions. I want to kill everyone in the room. The dogs. Yeah. And their toys. Yeah. Your dog specifically.
That's what that is. Yeah. But I will say that is what you just said is exactly just the 1 hour. And then there's an expectation that you're going to be, what if you had homework in first period? That you're going to remember the lesson to be able to go do the homework.
Okay, first of all,
it's the whole setup is scam.
Like if you're neurodivergent, you probably don't sleep at night very well, especially as a teenager. So first period's a waste. Just put me in, ceramics or PE.
Which actually
would be aggravating.
Which actually is
PE,
smart.
But
it's smart. You get for your first period be the day where you.
I would have never gone to school if it was first period PE.
Why?
Oh my God. No. I already didn't sleep. I already am like dragging ass to get to school.
That's how you wake up. You wake up
Oh,
eventually.
don't wake me up like that. Aggro. Mm-mm. That's why I wouldn't have gone to school. Because I'd have been like, fuck that shit. I ain't gonna get up, get a shower, be clean. I already feel like overstimulated and everything. And then I'm going to go to school and it's cold in the morning and I'm going to change my clothes, some more sensory overload. And then I'm going to go get yelled at by some overly enthusiastic morning person.
Yeah, she's not a morning person. So
no.
She's not an early morning person, a mid morning person.
Okay, I have a thing I say. I don't do mornings or Mondays. Okay,
she's an early afternoon person.
I do mornings or Mondays. It's bad.
But yeah, so but that in that same breath, that's kids getting up cold, not fully awake, and have to do algebra.
That's what I'm saying. It's all bad. It's all bad.
Yeah, I to me it look I especially
can we start
now,
school at like noon?
Why
school
not?
At noon.
Why
because if you're not going to be a kid in sports after school. So here's the thing. If you're going to be a kid in sports, you probably could do sports before school and be cool. Because if you're not a kid in sports, you don't want to be anywhere until noon.
Well, when the kids, we were talking about those school marms and that the old schoolhouses, that's when they went to school.
Did you say school marm?
I did say school marm. When you had to, when you worked on the farm.
For the kids in the back.
For school marm was the teacher.
You aged yourself.
No, I didn't age myself. Listen, I'm like a fine wine.
Oh.
Then, okay. But you got up, you went to work. You had to milk the cows. You had to get the stuff.
Oh yeah.
Before you went to school.
Yeah,
you went to school at around noon.
You know what's funny? I probably would have been really good at that.
I bet I know you.
You know what I mean? Because I remember saying the only thing I can reliably do is get up and take care of kids.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning. Like everything else, any job, oh my God. Hate my life. Try every reason to get out of it. I didn't love my life getting up to kids in the morning, but it was the one thing I knew. There was never, ever, it didn't matter how sick I was, didn't matter how shitty I felt, didn't matter how much I didn't sleep. The one thing I do is get up and take care of kids. And it's also the same when it comes to farm animals. It's something about their vulnerability or the fact that like they're actually needing my care to live. And I go, all right, I guess I'm coming. And I will absolutely reliably do it. I will not, no matter anything. Now, anything else, I got a date with you in the morning. Blow that shit off. I got a meeting with you. It could be an important meeting. Is there a way I can blow it off? Any type of, now I'm older. So,
it hasn't changed.
It does. I go to things that are important.
If it's time to go to
I'm
the
angry.
airport.
Oh.
Right. Now, mind you, full disclosure that
you're annoying.
I'm married to an amazing person who
I just said who you're
does
annoying.
all.
I'm married to an amazing person.
I'm married to an amazing person who, when we fly, she books all our flights. She books all our hotels. She books all our rentals. She is very organized. I couldn't do this without her.
She's not organized. She's just crazy.
Those were her words, not mine, when the story is repeated. When it made me lose my train of thought. when she does all of this is all the things. She can't get up in the morning.
Yeah. It don't matter where we're going. I'm like,
I will get up in the morning.
Who made this flight at 7 a.m.? That means we have to get there at 5. Oh my God. That means I have to go to sleep at like 6 o'clock tonight. I can't go to sleep at 6 o'clock. Here I am on my phone at like midnight going, I gotta get up at 3. Why am I still awake at midnight?
So I get up and I'm like, let's go. And she's like, ugh. And I'm like, you booked this flight.
Why did you book this flight? Well, I wanted to get there at that whatever time. And at the time, I don't know. And
That's
here
why
I am.
when she says that, we were in the car. So we have to get ready and prepared. So I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's get, all right, here's our
You
itinerary.
want to solve all the world's problems. You know, Aaron, if you're watching this, I know I told you thank you when you were his partner, but I still think about that.
Still think about what?
About what a saint she is. Because you, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you don't just like, you know what? Okay, I've dealt with morning people who talk your ear off in the morning. And I can just be there, right? Because they don't really need interaction. But you want meaningful interaction. You're like asking questions. I can't just be like, yeah. Which you do. You totally talk like that. Like I have spent, a couple hours in a conversation with you where I'm really not engaged. No offense. Just told on myself. But
thanks for participating today.
We need to go handle this. No, but I've been like, where I'm and you are oblivious to the fact that I'm not in the conversation really. I'm just kind of like, just I'm somebody to talk to. Not at 5 a.m. though. At 5 a.m. when I need you to just go ahead, listen to yourself talk. I'm just a body here. No, that's the time where you're literally trying to solve the world's problems. And if I don't give meaningful engagement, you notice. And I'm like, fuck.
So
I literally texted Aaron.
Text her.
When you were doing that.
Doing what?
That. And I was like, Aaron, does he always talk this much at this time of the day? Because I knew she was at work, without you, because we were traveling and she was working that day and you were off. I was like, Aaron, does he normally talk this much in the morning to you? And she's like, oh, yeah. We solve all the world's problems by 8 a.m. Go get some breakfast, some coffee, and, get back at it. By then he's usually tired. So he quiets down. He quiets down a little bit. And I'm like, he does this with you every morning? And she's like, oh, yeah. Aaron, I don't know whether to say I'm sorry or thank you or I don't know. I'm so grateful to you because I want to stab him.
Now, I'm glad you said that, especially the violent part. Because if anything happens
You're still standing.
If anything happens to me, we all know Joe Kenda, you know where to look. So
don't talk about my boyfriend like that.
Yes. Joe Kenda's not listening.
Joe, come be on my podcast.
If imagine channeling, that is the moment, I freely admit that is the moment when I'm probably at my most creative. Imagine if I had a partner.
Imagine.
Who was aware of my thing.
I know.
That my superpower was at that early in the morning.
I know.
That's the time to get me. And I am probably my most creative and can work on the problems.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Instead, you just have all this.
Yes. You have all this.
Yeah.
You're blessed.
Yeah.
Now,
I am.
But again, thinking about that, just to bring us back to center, and we ask these kids to get up.
I know, at 5 o'clock in the morning and be at school at 7:30.
Be at school at 7:30. Engaging and be prepared to engage.
That's why you should have been a high school teacher. You would have been perfect.
I don't understand.
Because you would have been 7:30 in the morning, ready to engage. Come on. Good morning.
See,
and I'd have been like,
I know that's a shot. See, you're saying like, well, he'd be great at this. That's a shot. You just took a shot at me. But that's okay.
I'm just trying to work towards your strengths.
We're not talking about me. We're talking about the children who are neurodivergent, who have a problem sleeping.
Yeah.
And they don't get a good night's sleep.
You're not one of them.
Excuse me?
You're not one of them.
Not one of them what? Children?
That has trouble sleeping.
I'm not I do have a problem. That's why I have a CPAP. What are you
No,
talking
no, no.
about?
That's just old age and weight. That's just that's not. I mean, that's just a medical condition that comes with old age and weight. You know, I mean,
I,
I'm
see,
such an asshole sometimes. I'm sorry.
you have to see when you're dealing with people who are neurodivergent.
You have to have a thick skin.
What you do not do is get upset when they are themselves, because that would be like getting mad at a blind person for not being able to see. So I recognize that Slappy White over there who thinks she's a comedian. this is just her thing. So you can't get mad at it, because it'd be like getting mad at the blind person.
The words come before the, that's not a good thing to say, engages. Okay, that's that's a problem with ADHD. The words come before the brain engages.
I know.
And then you're like, you're hearing it. You know the worst part? You're hearing it and you're thinking, I can't believe that just gets going. And there it is. Okay.
Listen, I'm going to pray for you.
We're in the South now.
Because, that's just, clearly you need some Jesus.
We're talking about sleep, but I think that is a really interesting thing, because like my daughter's on the spectrum, and our other son is undiagnosed. We're not sure.
Yeah.
Don't know, what, but we know there's some stuff, and
because he's never sleeping. He's never sleeping. He's constantly pacing.
No, I'm talking about the second one of mine.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
My second one and my daughter, they both can sleep like the freaking dead. Never been a problem. Never. But she, we know, has autism.
Yeah. Yes.
Diagnosed. He, self assesses, he's like, I don't know what's going on, but I got all the things. No, but when he goes to sleep, he sleeps like the dead. But the weird part with him is but he can be up for and have a hard time going to sleep. But once he goes to sleep, he sleeps like the dead. She don't have any problem. No problem going to sleep, no problem staying asleep. But then my oldest son and my third son, Jack, and me, chronically sleep deprived. We have a hard time falling asleep. We have a hard time staying asleep. Wake up to anything. Gotta find some way to falsely trick ourselves to sleep. And the most minor things can disrupt it, So yeah, sleep sucks. It's weird that there are some who can sleep. I mean, because your head hits the pillow, you're just like, when do I want to go to sleep? I'll go to sleep now. Boom.
I wasn't always like that. I think that the best thing for me, because you're absolutely correct. Once that I got that CPAP, it's not even like it's literally, I could be talking to you and say good night.
Oh, I know.
Say good night and then roll over and it's on. I've left. Kevin has left.
Kevin is not in the building. No, I know. I know. But that same thing being said, your two youngest.
Yeah.
Their sleep is a disaster. Oh. Absolute disaster. I thought our sleep problems were a problem, but I never suffered with, my second one suffers with it, but and my youngest, but I never suffered with the whole getting my clock off.
Yeah.
But those your two, their clock is fucked up all the time, and then so is my second and my last one. Their clocks are just constantly fucked up, and so just trying to be on a normal clock is torturous for them. And then once they do go to sleep, waking them up is your son, he doesn't sleep well at all.
No.
And so it don't matter any time of day we could wake him up. with just the littlest thing. I mean, he can hear you walking by the room. The next thing you know, he's like vertical and like, what's going on? But your daughter, once she's out, like, that's it.
Yeah, you can't get her up.
Dead to the world, just like my daughter.
Yeah, she sleeps for 3 days because she's been up for 3 days.
Yeah.
But it's weird that you'll tell me I will sleep and be down, and could hear noise. But if I heard a specific kind of noise,
oh yeah,
it would wake me up.
Yeah. That was always that was really interesting because you said to me, "Oh no, you can keep the light on, you can watch TV, blah blah blah. It won't bother me." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I kind of know how that is. I'm thinking I know how that is because, like, for me, it doesn't bother me to fall asleep to the TV, But then an hour or two into it, or if you turned the TV on, after I was asleep for an hour, or you turned lights on for sure, I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you so rude? But I literally can turn the lights on. I can turn the TV on. I mean, we could have an entire like daytime situation going on. And if you've decided you're asleep, you're asleep. So a person would think that means we're not safe in our house at night, because this dude will sleep through somebody, breaking through the glass and you wouldn't hear it. But that's actually not the case. It's so freaking weird because like I will sleep through that kind of thing. I will sleep through weird noises or whatever because I've had to train myself just not to let every noise wake me up.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, go to sleep. It's fine. So now I subconsciously try to tune every weird noise out.
Mm-hmm.
But and it can be the smallest, weirdest noise. I mean, like Jack sneaking in our room. Now that will not alarm me, Like what alarms me is when they're standing over me and all of a sudden, I'm like, why are you here?
Yeah.
But so they had to learn, like, you have to just pressure. Don't be like, wham, down on me or whatever, because that'll startle me. You, though, the little sneaking in, no barely noise. Next thing I know, you're vertical going to kill the kid, like thinking there's an intruder.
In the beginning of our relationship, yes, that was true. But
no, that's still the case. You've just trained your brain that that if you hear a sneaking human coming into the room, it's probably Jack.
Yeah, but
But you'll hear like the most random shit. You'll be like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "You were just sleeping." Did I hear what? Honestly, fucking what? And it is something. Every single time, it's been something. Gunshots.
It's like she spent the night at my house when we first started dating in Seattle, and there was outside my house some gunshots. And
why you say that like that?
I was up and
out the door, and I'm just still sitting there in the bed. Like, what am I supposed to do? Do I roll on the floor? Am I supposed to follow you? Am I supposed to? Should I be up here? Should I be down? Should I hide under the bed? Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. I've never encountered this situation.
We hadn't.
That's why I didn't live in Seattle.
We hadn't established rules at that point, but
I wasn't properly prepared.
It was properly prepared. So, but yeah, I think that I am. But for just to bring us back to center, those what we're asking of our kids, whether they're neurotypical or neurodivergent, the way we do learning right now, it's just kind of crazy. We should start at noon. I think the earlier we get them in at 8 o'clock,
rolling days,
so we can get them out at 2 or something like that. It's really kind of silly because they're not.
Imagine if they could just pick. Yeah. Imagine if the school day started as early as 7 and went as late as 6. Yeah. Kind of like college. What? And you could pick, let's not go 6 hours. How about that? You could pick your 3 to 4 hour block of time you wanted to be in school. Right? Yeah. You could, and you could even split it. What? You could come for 2 hours, go do something else in the middle of the day, and then you could take 2 more classes at the end of the day, right? What if you could do that as early as like middle school.
Yeah.
Right? Fifth, sixth grade, where you could structure your day like that. And then you start learning what works best for you. Right? Because the weird thing is, I love how they always try to like make everything, well, we're trying to prepare you for the real world. But the reality is there is nothing about school
That's like the real
that's
world.
like the real world. You get to choose your friends when you are a grown up.
Yep.
You're not forced to play with people.
Nope.
You get to choose where you work.
Mhm.
You get to choose if you want a highly social environment or if you want to work at home and you never have to talk to people. You get to, choose what kind of work you want to do.
Yep.
Everything about being a grown up and working is about choice. But we give everybody the impression that from K to 12,
No choice.
that there is zero choice, and you don't get to pick your hours, you don't get to pick anything.
When you look at when we were talking about earlier about how creative we was during the time and how creative this country was and the different inventions that happened, that's how learning started. That's how people, when they were immersing themselves, they picked the time. Kids didn't go to school at 7:00 in the morning. They went out to the fields and they worked. They were able to see why they needed to know math, because they had to understand the crops and the agricultural part of that and the horticultural. They had to understand the animals and the husbandry and all that. All these things, they were applying the things they were learning.
Yeah, and now we get mad at them. Well, how is algebra gonna apply to my life? Why do I have to learn it? And we're like, oh, just don't worry about it. It will someday.
Someday.
As if humans like respond well to that. Yeah. They don't. They need to know why.
Yes.
They need to know how it applies. The best way to do that is to be learning, and that's back to child-led learning. That's why it works so well, because you're doing it almost opposite. You're doing it almost in reverse, where you're taking what they're doing and applying it to the lesson. Yeah. Right? But if you're doing something and then understanding what is important about it, then you're going to retain that.
Yeah.
So it's not a chore to learn how to read. It's not a chore to learn your alphabet. It's not a chore to learn math or science or anything, because you didn't even realize you were learning. It was like I remember even having to say it to you. I'm just like, when he is doing the electrical stuff on his bike and he's having to measure this and he cuts the wire wrong and he doesn't bleed the brakes right and he has to do it over and over and over again, guess what he's forced to do? Read. Guess what he's forced to do? Go learn how to do it, because he gets frustrated enough because he needs to accomplish the task.
Yeah.
And when he gets frustrated enough, now he wants to read. Now he wants to learn how to do this. And now he's in a brain space where he's open to it. If you force the learning in, people will digest it.
To
right?
a degree.
Some people will. I did. I said my whole life. People will be like, oh, it must be nice. School's so easy for you. You've learned so much. You have blah, blah, blah. And I would laugh. I was like, I am here to tell you, I retained nothing. What I learned how to do was go to school. I learned how to take what information you were handing out. I learned from how you were giving it to me, what you were going to test me on, so that I could look like I learned it, so that I could get an A on the test, so that I would get good grades. None of it was retained at all. And actually, when I was in college and I started wanting to retain stuff, I was like listening and I was like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. I want to learn this. When I tell you I became the worst student ever, the worst grades, because retaining it and being tested on it were two different skill sets. Yeah. And in order for me to learn the thing, I couldn't be tested on it. I couldn't be having to regurgitate that to you later, because I just learned it. I didn't know how to regurgitate it to you.
Yeah. I would ask you if you could you recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd probably fuck it up.
But could
I
you?
mean,
But if I ask you,
probably most of it
could I ask you to write down your chocolate chip cookie recipe?
for sure.
There it is, right there.
Mm-hmm.
There, what you want to learn
Mm-hmm.
to what you're taught.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, recited that for 12 years
Yeah.
of school.
Yeah.
Right? Sang the national anthem, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, to go to as much school as I've gone to, and I know for a fact, I could not tell you. Like, people love this because I took so many psychology classes and so many sociology classes. And so then they'll start talking about like theories of child development and stuff like that. And they'll start saying names, or they'll start talking about the person and what their theory was. And they expect me to like be able to, because not only did I take all these classes, but I aced them all. I was really good at it. I literally am like, yeah, I don't remember whose theory that was, or even what the name of the theory was.
Yeah.
No,
that's
don't know.
That's pretty typical.
Anyway,
good
luck sending your kids back to school.
Good luck sending your kids back to school. We are transitioning. We're getting ready to back out there for those ones getting ready to start, for the little ones who are starting for kindergarten and all that.
And if you're homeschooling and you're on a rolling, like you're doing it all year long, and this isn't back to school time for you, maybe there is no back to school time, that's cool. If you follow sort of a school calendar and you're homeschooling, how fun. I'm excited for anybody in any school situation that they're getting ready to put their kids back into right now. If this is, the month that they're getting ready to send their kids or start school with their kids or whatever, it's a huge transition, and good luck and have fun, because there's only 12 years of it.
Yeah. With that being said, like, comment,
share.
Thank you.